Well done to the Double L show, but we're only getting used to actually introducing it, which is weird.
It is, yeah.
Um, Today we're doing horror movies. I feel like I should get Chucky because Chucky
He
is
would be
right
good, yeah.
there. Oh, good. Horror movies. Love them.
Oh,
What's your
yes.
favorite scary movie?
Good impression.
I know, I've had
I
it
can't
on
even
point.
do that.
I've had it on point for years.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I feel like it just works better for me. I don't know
It
why.
is. It is.
I got impressions on points sometimes. So, to answer the question, hmm, hard one. Chucky,
Mm-hmm.
Chucky, fucking Chucky.
I I don't say I've got a favorite one. If anybody asks us, I always say I've kind of got to get a top 10 or a top five. In Hellraiser is always at number one.
I've never seen it yet.
It's I like it. It's a good little like kind of independent film that became a big franchise.
Yeah, I've never seen the appeal of like zombies, and that's what I got told it was about.
No,
It's
it
not
is
about
not about zombies.
zombies. What the
No,
hell?
it's about the
That
Cenobites in the puzzle box, the lament figuration,
what
where if
the
you solve the
hell?
puzzle box, then a portal to hell opens and the Cenobites come and take you away for their sadistic BDSM kind of way they go.
Clearly, the person who told us isn't a big fan. Or
Yeah, they
just
don't know what they're talking about. It is
I'm
far
gonna
from
watch
zombies.
it. What the actual?
Yeah, not zombies.
I can't even remember who said it, but shame on them. Absolutely shame on them. They are
Oh
not
yeah,
a true
definitely.
horror fan. And I'm not like I just take people's word because sometimes I trust people's opinions. I mean, don't we all? I mean,
Hmm.
although they would say what I watched last night was a horror, but it's actually not that horror.
What
It's
was it you
just
were watching?
the it fall.
Horror.
That yeah, people have said it's a horror because
That's
it
more of a kind
introduces
of
more. Yeah,
thriller action thing.
people just said because of like the subject and using fears and stuff like that that it made it more horror, which it definitely wasn't. I was laughing by the end, like I must be some definition of psychopath because it was by the end I was like I knew it. I was like that character just had to die. I mean, it was logical.
It.
It, the,
I watched the. I kind of like didn't want to sit. I just because I've already seen the like last half hour of it, so I was like, I could go bored kind of watching it, but it kind of reminded us of how 47 meters down finished, where it was all a hallucination. It wasn't actually real.
I haven't seen that, but the closest I've seen horror wise to that kind of was the two girls who get trapped under a pool by somebody like a pool cover.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but oh, it gives you the chills when you think about it because you realize how cold it must have been in that
Hmm.
pool.
Ooh.
Like, nah, that is like my biggest nightmare. Like, hell no. Like stuff like that would freak me out. But I just know that ain't ever gonna happen. That's what I don't like about horror anymore. You're not scared. It's just so predictable. And when people die, you're like, oh wow, they died. Like, who cares?
Just oh, they're dead. Anyway.
Moving on.
Yep.
Unlike in Scream 5. I am so like I'm dreading the next one because Dewey. Dewey
Yeah.
deserved so much better. And the fact
They
that like
they didn't have to
him
kill
and
him, man. And
Gail
oh,
got divorced, like hello. I mean, it was kind of inevitable considering the real life relationship between them.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of like I should be hyped, but I'm not. I feel like 5 could have been a lot better than it was.
Yeah,
It just
it
feel
could have
like
been.
it just felt like a disappointment, like you wanted to come back hitting the ground running kind of thing after all that time, but nothing. Like it kind of was a miss, I would say. Like I haven't gone back and watched it because I feel like it just wasn't worthy of it. And I'm hoping 6 kind of lives up because obviously Hayden is Kirby returning, and I don't know, but when there's no Sydney, it's kind of questionable what's going to happen. That means there's only one original left that we know of, essentially. And I feel like Gail's going to have like a target on her back. Like,
Well, have you seen the trailer? Because Gale is in a lot of fights in the trailer,
yeah,
like
I
big
saw
fight
one
scene.
of the trailers, but then I never really saw any of the others. I just want to like leave it to the imagination of what's coming rather than to spoil it.
Yeah,
Um,
good point. Dewey's death kind of was spoilt in the one of the trailers for Scream 5 as well.
I didn't even
You could
see
predict
that.
it. You could predict what was happening when Ghostface is pushing him into the is it the trophy cabinet, and then
Yeah,
you kind of see them, and you're like, he's dead, isn't he? He's dead. He's gonna die. It kind of was like, oh,
I didn't see, like, I feel like I haven't been exposed to half of the trailers. I mean, it turns out I didn't even follow the page until like 2 days ago, and I'm like, I'm sure I did. But then again, I have no idea. Like, I'm so bad because I don't know who I follow anymore. Like, I just don't take notice. I'm just like, wait, I don't follow that person. I'm sure I did. Like, this is what I noticed last week, and totally off the subject. I am 100% sure that I followed somebody, and then suddenly it says that I'm not following them, and I'm like, I was definitely 100% following that person because I tweeted them multiple times in the past. And then I followed them because obviously clearly there was an unfollow. And then I was unfollowed, like it said I'd unfollowed again. I was like, what is going on with Twitter? Like it was,
I have noticed there has been a bit of a glitch where if you go to follow someone, it says you're following them, and then about 10 seconds later, it says you're not followed. So then you have to click again to
yeah.
kind of confirm that you want to follow them or something. I think it's some sort of glitch that they've got.
Oh well, that kind of explains it. But yeah, I absolutely love horror. And this is coming from like I was talking in like an appointment, I think, about how like I was so scared of horror movies as a kid that it was like my biggest fear of watching them. And like every time someone brought it up, like I would be up the entire night scared. Like I just couldn't sleep. And like I remember a girl who used to live near us, she showed us like quite a few clips. I couldn't sleep. The first time I'd ever heard of Chucky, right, was when I was in year three when someone talked about the fears. And I was like, what's Chucky? So I Googled Chucky and then I was like, oh my God, like nightmares. Absolute nightmares for years. And I was automatically scared. Bearing in mind I had no idea what like it was about, essentially. And then years later, I was like, I'm older now, let's just I was shaken. Wait, no, there was actually an instance where I bought Chucky on DVD. I think it was Curse of Chucky, which was probably not a good one to start with, considering it was actually pretty. I I wouldn't say it's scary to us now, but it's one of the scarier ones of the whole franchise because it's filmed in the
It's more
darkest
modern, yeah.
and it's like most of it's in the dark and the power outage. So that makes it a lot more scarier because you can't see anything coming. Whereas the others you could see essentially. And that element of like, where's Chucky? I can't see him kind of that got us. And I watched half the movie and I was at my grandma's and I couldn't do it. I couldn't get all the way through it. And I couldn't even look at the DVD. I gave it to my friend. I was like, I don't want anything to do with it. And the first one that I watched all the way through was Seed of Chucky. Luckily, I picked the good one. And now I am
That makes
like,
me laugh. That's more of a comedy.
I
See the
know
Chucky.
that. And then I'm like, why the hell was I scared of him? Like, he's literally funny. Like, he's so funny. Like, I just, it blows my mind now of like how scared I could have been. And my dad used to threaten to buy us the doll every time we saw it when Model Zone was a thing. They were selling them off for £25. And then with the Bride of Chucky original ones, they're now worth over 350 quid. And I really wish that I actually had. Like, I really wish.
Yeah, I mean, having a full model would be epic. And the funny thing is Chucky was kind of the first horror film I ever watched all the way through. Like like you say, I first heard of him when I was in primary school. Some of my friends had watched them, and I had no idea what they were talking about. And I remember going home, and it was one of this in like looking up. I think which one was it? It was Seed of Chucky. And I watched the trailer and I was like, this doesn't seem so scary. But I never actually watched it until my friend's 13th birthday. And I was only 12 at the time. He put Child's Play 2 on. And it was creepy because he had a full size Chucky in his bedroom. So I remember looking over the door thinking, oh my God, he's just going to burst in, isn't he, and murder us all. And that did kind of didn't think I was scared watching it until for the next year I kind of had nightmares about Chucky invading my school, being in my house, me hunting him down. I'm pretty sure one of them I actually set him on fire and somehow flushed him down the toilet in midnight. One of my nightmares. It was weird. Like I was terrified for years until Curse of Chucky came out, and I seen it because I was in the Metro Centre and where HMV is. I don't know if the shop's still there because it's been that long.
HMV's
But that
moved like 4 times.
has it. Oh well.
In
Next to
the original,
HMV,
I know where you're talking about, where it
yeah,
was a long time ago, like in the
there used to be like a
2000s.
like a shop that
Yeah,
did
that's
all
Model
sorts, and they
Zone.
did Model Zone.
Yeah,
That was it. It
yeah,
had
it
kind
was
of
right
Chucky
next
in
to
the
it.
window,
Yeah.
and I remember walking past, always being like, "Oh God, no!" Until yeah, I watched Child's Play, the first one, when I was 15, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't so bad." What was I scared of when I was like 12? And so yeah, I just not scared of him anymore. In fact, I made my mum's friend's daughter. She got like a big 3 foot kind of doll when she was 11 for Christmas. And like every time we went over, I used to call it Chucky. He'd be like, "Oh, how you doing, Chucky?" A week later, I'm going, "Where is it?" It was in the bin. I scared her by calling it Chucky.
Oh my God. That is so funny. Oh, honestly, like it just doesn't bother us. Although I do have Chucky nightmares every so often, ironically, when he's in the room. But I am not phased. Like when my neighbor was like shouting at all that hours of the night, I was like, Chucky, if you're actually alive, will you go and sort him out for us? I mean, that would scare him.
I mean, that would quiet him down, all right, yeah. Like, hey,
Exactly.
asshole, will you shut it down? I can't do Braddo's voice.
No, I've tried. I've tried loads. I could do Jennifer Tilly. I've actually got a photo of Jennifer Tilly on that wall with the Scream
Oh.
poster. Yeah. I used to do it on purpose to people just to wind them up. Yeah, I was like, it's only a doll. And they're like, I'm like, literally, I'm like, what the hell? Like we just walked past in Newcastle and Chucky was there and like they freak it out and I'm like, seriously? I'm like, you're more scary than Chucky, hon. Like she was that one that I was talking about who was like a definition of a psychopath.
Oh, her. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, hon, you're more scary.
Yeah. Chucky would be scared of her.
No,
Just, I am not dealing with
honestly.
you. No, 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 no.
Yeah. For background, let's just say that girl actually threatened to murder us once. Yeah.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, she was very,
She was a Cenobite.
yeah.
Pain has a face.
Yeah. What other horrors can we talk about?
And
I'm like,
I've got 383 horror films on Blu-ray and DVD.
my God.
I counted them this afternoon and I was like, damn, I spent a lot of money on horror films, haven't I?
One of them that I used to really like and I now don't like is Halloween. The franchise is practically got destroyed by the last two films, I would say. Like when it came back in like the 2018 version.
2018 one was good. I like 2018
Yeah, I
one.
like that.
But
But then
Halloween ends and Halloween kills. I mean, Halloween kills is worse than ends, I would say,
yeah,
because of the constant
definitely.
chanting. Evil dies tonight. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it was just pathetic. You're like, really? Like, what is this? And the fact that despite calling it Halloween Ends, they're trying to bring it back and make another one. Like, no, just leave it. Please, can we just have another franchise? Could somebody just get creative
Yeah.
and start making new things? Because it is getting so repetitive and boring. Like, there's no
Need to leave
element
the
of
classics alone.
surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Too many
mean,
remakes.
yeah, I mean, how many's been remade? Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, the Nightmare on Elm
Everything
Street
is
one.
getting remade.
The Nightmare on Elm Street one. I watched it after watching the original.
I watched it because of Conjuring.
Oh, it was bad. I'm going, okay, I get it. They made the makeup effect more actual, like a burn victim, but you didn't have to turn him into a paedophile. He was fine as a killer. He was.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it like that.
Have you seen how they've now edited the original because of the nails down the chalkboard? Because a lot of people can't stand the sound, so they've literally made it more metallic rather than the actual screech. I mean, fair enough, like that noise. Oh God, I could die just hearing it. Just a big no. That was actually one of the horror movies that my dad forced us to watch. He was like, "Yes, let's watch this." And then the next one was Freddy versus Jason, which was more like comedy, if anything.
It is the flying effect when when Jason hits gets flung. That makes us laugh all the time. That was
Like,
a very early 2000s. Ooh, this is horror, but it's comedy as well. Like,
yeah. What gets me the other day is when they were talking about Scream and they mentioned it, saying that it was a comedy. I went, "Are you actually joking?" Like, they said it was like a parody movie. I went, did somebody not do research here? Because that is not the parody. Scary Movie is the parody. Like, that is
yeah,
common knowledge. And bear in mind, this is from a news broadcaster. Like,
maybe they got the fact that
what?
Scary Movie was the original title for Scream. Maybe they got
Mm,
those elements mixed up.
who knows? But it doesn't take a genius to, like,
Google, yeah.
yeah.
Scary Movie versus Scream. Oh, yeah, two separate films.
Oh, I absolutely love Scary Movie though. But the first one I feel like is the best one. Like, I'm not really a fan of the others because it's more like poltergeists and stuff mocks, but like half the time the ones that are about poltergeists, they're usually just funny anyway because they're just embarrassing. But the good ones, I would say, are like Amityville Horror, The Conjurings, the stuff that's actually more realistic and sometimes based on true stories. I feel like them elements are a lot scarier, the things that are closer to real life, rather than the things that are just completely made up.
Yeah.
Like, they have an impact. I wouldn't say they're necessarily scary, but yeah, it's kind of scary to think that it happened. That's the scariest part of it. But I love like, I want more stories like that. Because, like, come on, we live in like a dangerous world right now.
Yeah,
There's
there's a
so
lot of
much,
horror in the real world that
yeah,
filmmakers could take.
it's like inspiration. They could
Yeah.
use like real life, but they choose to like not do that. And you're like, you could take inspiration. You don't have to like be like, I'm gonna like take this entire thing and make it. There's like so much that could be done, but they're just, I feel like it's very lazy. Like, people are so comfortable in the positions and the jobs that they're in, the creators, that they just don't care anymore. They're like, I'm getting paid, that's it, doesn't make a difference. Whereas like us, like the creators who are new, like, we work so hard to make sure that everything is going to work because they have loads of money, but we don't. So when money is gone, it's gone. Like, the horror movie that I want to make, and I've been wanting to make horror for a long, it's based on a tale that is around my area, and a lot of people who have lived in this area will know of the stories. Half of them aren't true after I admit that. People just made them up. Like the house, they're like, oh, it's haunted. I've been in there. I'm the only one who's legally been allowed in there, and it's not haunted. And people were like, oh, the owner fell through the conservatory roof and died. False. Like, that didn't happen. And like all of the other things, they just make it up and break in because it's haunted. Definitely haunted. Like I can feel when there's something there, and if I can't
Yeah.
feel anything, then there's nothing there. But the
If
park
a place
itself,
is haunted, you can feel not just the atmosphere, but the air will be kind of electrified, charged. You'll be able to feel it. Your skin will stand on end. Your hairs will be everything. Like,
I don't get that though. For
you
me,
know?
I personally get as if like somebody puts the hand out and tries to like get the air from like inside the body. It just feels like the dragon is and taking all my energy out. That's when I know there's something there. And I felt that in the park surrounding the house, which used to be part of the house itself on the land and stuff. But that's where I've seen the spooky stuff, and that deserves to be talked about more. And it will. But that's the energy that you can feel, and it's scary. There's a house also that my dad was like, it's haunted, and I'm like, okay, I don't really believe him because he said that his house was haunted as a kid, but apparently it was actually haunted because the buildings are that old. But that one, like, it looks like it would be haunted. And you stopped the car and I got out, and as soon as I got out the car, that energy was grabbing us, and I'm like, there's something there. I was like, and then I took photos of the house, and in one of the windows you can see this really weird distorted face. And I was like, okay. I was like, that is weird. I've got the photo somewhere. But
I'll have to see that photo at some point. Oh.
yeah, I hope it's still there. It might be in my Google Drive. That's probably a weird one.
Yeah, one of the weird experiences I had was when, and it felt like electricity. I felt like the like coldness only on one side. And it was weird. I was thinking it was weird because the door was that side, and then it was felt like electricity. It
That's
just
just a
slowly
normal ghost.
started moving across my body. Like I could feel it move up to like the point where it was that strong. My eyes were shut. I couldn't open because I felt like I was getting electrocuted.
Yeah, that's just a ghost in general, you know.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
there's a big difference. I
I
mean, the
know.
amount of times he's seen orbs go across my room, but the door out there keeps opening by itself, like fully, as if somebody went and threw the door open. It's literally done that quite a few times now, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, I get it. I'm like, somebody's here. There's no need. Like, I can feel it. Like, I know when somebody's there, and it's just like, essentially leave us alone because I can't be bothered. Like, I feel like I don't want to venture into spirituality as much as I used to because it just gets overpowering. Once you try and like talk to one thing, then everybody wants in, and you're like, no, I don't have time for it. And just like that energy thing, it just takes it from you
Yeah.
because not everybody can know that there's somebody there and stuff. Yeah, I think there's actually somebody here. I can feel something.
You are saying that I'm kind of got a funny feeling right now in my face, as if, am I burning? No, I'm pretty okay temperature. I'm getting like tingling on my face. Don't know what that is.
No, there was somebody behind us. And I just saw like a flash of like a shadow behind there.
Oh, just as I was looking away as well.
If you're my great granddad, could you like, you know, come back later? I'd like appreciate that. It's all good. You can tell us about your time in the Navy another time. Yeah. Honestly, he's very, very present. Very present. It's just really cold around us. And the heat's on. Like my radiator's on blast. Like it's on full blast. So I should not be feeling cold. But yeah. Respectfully, I don't want to talk right now. It's a bad time. Yeah. Last thing I want is to be, oh my God, there's been loads of times where like in my dreams I've been contacted by different ghosts, and there's one called Georgia. It's like Joja, and that was like there's times where it's like practically came up to us to attack us, some of the ghosts. And there was another name of one, but that was actually to do with like the park and the house, but I can't remember it. I could have wrote it down, but I didn't at the time. But they come in contact every so often, and I'm just like, Do you mind? Like
Just not right now.
yeah, like it's always the worst times when I'm usually wanting to sleep. I do love my ghosts though. I just like if they want to come, they can talk to us another way. I mean, I've still got that Ouija board. And if my family are listening, I am sorry. And I haven't used it because I am scared. And it is literally in the car and it has not entered the house. It hasn't even been touched. The weird thing is, actually, no, it has been touched because I held it just for the crack of it. Never put the planchette on the board, so it doesn't count.
Okay.
Me and my best friend just like kept them, like she had one and I had the other. And you could feel like this weird energy off the board, as in like what I feel when I pick up crystals and tarot cards and oracles. I get like this energy
I
off.
know what you mean.
And it was the same energy as that, like as in the connection. And I'm like, yeah, not right now, please. Like, I mean, it was no bother. It just meant that that was the board for me because the board chose us. It wasn't just like, I'm getting it for the crack of it, but I feel I'm very spiritually protected, so that's the good thing. But nobody will use it with us, so it doesn't really. I could
Yeah,
put it up as decoration.
Could be good, yeah.
Us
Just
at the
up
studio
on the wall.
next Tuesday, taking it out thing, like, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. One thing that I feel like could be very linked in the horror world would be crime dramas and also like horror. Like I feel like they're so interlinked, but they try to keep them completely separate as if it's irrelevant, when actually it would make a very, very good movie if they
It
were
would do,
both
yeah.
combined. I might do that eventually. I don't see the appeal in writing like 150 pages or somewhere around that.
Average for a film, a feature script is roughly 90 pages.
Yeah, they're now getting longer though. Movies sometimes
Yeah.
they're overdoing it.
A24. Yeah, I blame it on A24. They're too into this artsy, what do you call it? Modern horror, elevated horror. Like where you have to sit for 3 hours. It's like, no, it just ruins it. Like if I'm going to make a 4 hour horror film, says Ari Aster. Who's going to sit through that? The pace, the story. How are you going to keep people interested? You
Yeah,
can't do that for 4 hours. Like there's a reason why movies are typically between 90 and 120.
nobody's got the attention for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
who's
when
going?
it
It's ridiculous.
like
It's like that's what I struggled with Stranger Things back in July, the
yeah,
final 2.5 hours. I'm thinking, oh come on, please don't do
like I
this.
could not, like I couldn't get through it because I just don't have the attention span for
Yeah,
it. By the time that I was like, I think I was at work when it actually dropped. So by the end of the day, everyone had finished it. So I knew all the spoilers, so it didn't really make a difference. I remember sitting there scrolling and updating, and like I'm like, oh well, that was inevitable. That was inevitable. Like it didn't surprise us at all. So I was just like, oh well, that saves us time, I guess.
yeah.
I
Only
did
thing I
watch a
can really
bit.
remember is Eddie's death. I can't remember anything else apart from him
Yeah,
dying.
I knew he was gonna die. I just
I
knew.
did as well, but I just didn't want to believe it.
I wasn't bothered. Nah.
Oh,
He was very overhyped.
I liked him as a character.
Like, I didn't think he was the best character.
It wasn't the best. It was just he was fun to watch.
I don't know. Not for me, essentially. Like, I'm very specific to character types. The characters that I love the most.
Mm.
Speaking of characters, this is the weirdest thing. And I was going to go back online after I went offline yesterday. And the book that I'm reading, Rizzoli and Isles, let's just call this horror and crime drama thing. So it's called The Surgeon, and I don't know how to pronounce a name. I think I can't even pronounce her name. I don't know how to pronounce her surname, so it doesn't make a difference. But I was like, is Maura Isles in this book? Because it just like I'm 5 chapters in and there was not even a mention of that.
Gerstein, is that? Tess Gerstein. Gerstein?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. But I'm like, so is Maura in this book? And the thing that I was like, is Maura Isles? First thing that came up, autistic. I was like, yes. I was like, yes. I was like, somebody else has said it.
Come on.
Finally. And apparently it's just designed to be that way, and that she is most likely autistic. So I was like, okay, let's try the others. Is Fox Mulder autistic? I was like, yes. Winner,
I have
winner,
heard that
winner.
one before.
I was like, is Abby Shuto? And then autistic came out. I was like, yeah, people are thinking the same as me. Is Penelope Garcia? Like, that was just a yes.
I
Like,
mean, that one, obviously.
she's definitely ADHD as well. So
Yeah.
neurodiverse bundle, good representation there with the autistic coded characters. Like, I feel like the autistic coded characters are done better than the actual autistic characters. But going back to like crime, oh my god, like this show is everything. I was watching it, my grandma's like, she's hooked. She's like, so what's happened? Like, did she get off? Or I was like, oh yeah. I was like, she did. Like, don't worry about that. I'm like, the show is called Risoldi and Isles. That's Isles, so yeah. Like, they're all gonna be like, nah. I think I left it mid-episode. Oops. Like, it's the best thing that I've binge watched in a while, but I've seen it. I just don't remember it because I went through so fast. If I'm not wrong, I actually went and bought the box set in 2019, and because I couldn't get it anywhere online for some reason. I don't know why. Now you can. But I went up to town afterward. Like, I ran for it because the shops were closing just as I'd like finished work. Got the box set, binge watched it straight off, and yeah, satisfied 100%. Yeah.
A horror film that I really want to make, and I've had kind of notes made
That
to write one.
first.
Hmm?
I'm just making jokes.
Yeah, I know I've only got like a first draft of that feature, which is terrible. It needs redone a lot.
Oh,
No,
God.
it's a film based on the legend Who Put Bella in the Elm Tree. Have you heard of it?
No.
So, either in the 1920s or 30s, these kids were playing in the forest, somewhere down south, and they came across kind of a tree. I think it was chopped in half, an elm tree or birch tree, one of the two.
I'd
And
laugh if it was an elm tree.
and they looked in, and there was like a mummified dead body of a woman.
Oh.
In this statue in the town, the next day or something was spray painted. Who put Bella in the Elm Witch or something like that? And so that's been a legend I've looked up a lot, tried to get as much information as I can, because in my head that would make a really good kind of like horror film. Like, start off with them finding like the body, and then have it go back to maybe the 1700s or something, and have it as she's just a regular person who who becomes a witch due to curiosity. And yeah, there's lots that could be done with it.
Yeah, I mean, all the ideas I have are mostly for dramas rather than anything else. Although Suspicious Minds is a crime drama, and I do plan to do more crime dramas. I do have ideas for some of them, but not as much for horror, because it's hard to find things that are new. Like, everything seems to be done by now.
True.
And it's just like trying to dig up these rarities and these hidden gems to tell that people haven't done. And I think it should be starting with like urban legends, because of that fact that it's just like they're not talked about enough. Like, round here there is so many. I mean, you've got like the Lambton Worm.
Simon Side Dwarves
I've never heard.
up in Northumberland. You know, heard of them? Simon Side Dwarves? No.
No. There's
Dwarves
like
are meant to
loads.
lead people off the path and kill them, I think was the legend. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot round here. I can't think of any others, but
Horton Lad or something. I think that was one.
yeah, I've heard of that as well. No, there's just not enough, and yeah, horror should be good if we get new ideas instead of the same old story or remakes. I think that's all I have to kind of say on horror and stuff.
If I'd add something in, is horror, like, you can literally create anything. So like, you can just take any idea and try to put a twist on it, and it could become like a horror film. Like because it's like again, it's based on a legend. A short film I wrote years ago, which I kind of want to turn kind of into a feature one, is based on two legends, but one of the legends you don't find out about until near the end as the twist of the story. So it's about like these like teenagers, well, not teenagers, 20-something-year-olds. They've just graduated university. They want to create like a documentary about this legend that I had to create myself in Scotland because they wanted to do one about Loch Ness Monster, but that's been done to death. So they have to come up with this idea at the end. They find about this one on this website. So they go up to Scotland, and the twist is it's the whole village that the village that they're staying in. And this is a bit, how do I say this? It sounds weird. The village are one incestuous family.
Oh no.
And the monster is being a deformation. Like one of the kids deformed, and it happens in each generation. So, and oh, what's the name of him? Because originally they were going to be relatives of this this serial killing family that killed and cannibalized hundreds of people in like the 1600s. And they thought they'd killed all the family off, but they'd find out two of them had escaped and continued this family. And they created the website that these students found like the urban legend from to lure people in so they can kill and eat them.
That is a lot to take
Yeah,
in.
that was a lot. That's one I've wanted to make for a long time. Like I wrote a short film for it, but it was a bit too like long-winded. So I think it would work best as a feature because I could explain it more.
Go for it.
Yeah.
That's just so much to take in. But yeah, I feel like I'm done on the topic of horror for now until
Yeah.
maybe the next horror comes out. That's very, very good.
Yeah, same.
Right. So that's
Right.
us signing off.
Thank you for listening and watching.
Yeah. Where's the stop record button?